We've made our way out to one of the best examples of an early California rancho in its original rural environment. And I'm here with Susan. Susan, where are we?
You are at Rancho Camulos Museum in Piru, California, and we're a National Historic Landmark.
Wow. So first of all, in terms of in California, where are we located?
Piru is at the eastern edge of Ventura County on Highway 126, about 10 minutes or so from the 5 interchange.
Okay. And not too far from Magic Mountain, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So for reference out there.
Yeah.
So tell us about this rancho.
Rancho Camulos is a really special place. The land itself was first developed probably in the 1840s. It was given as a Mexican land grant to Antonio del Valle by the Mexican government in 1839. And then it was his son, Ignacio, that moved his family from the plaza in downtown LA to this site in probably about 1859.
Wow.
And he built this house that we're standing in front of. He built that in about the late 1850s before his family got out here.
So in terms of age of houses in California, this is pretty old.
It is pretty old, that's exactly right. So it's been standing here a long time.
Wow.
And they raised their family here. They had 12 children, 5 of whom grew to adulthood. And a lot of things happened here. There were a lot of people who came here, very famous Californians came here. They filmed a movie here in 1910, the Ramona movie. D.W. Griffith silent film starring Mary Pickford was filmed right where we're standing.
When we were doing research on here, we kept seeing the Ramona brand in postcards. What made this place so famous? What was the postcard that made this place so famous?
Okay, so Ramona was a best-selling novel written in the 1880s by a lady named Helen Hunt Jackson, who actually visited here in the early 1880s, and she was kind of researching this idea. She wanted to write a book that would show how poorly the Native Californians, Native Americans in California were being treated.
Sure.
And so she actually spent a little bit of time in the house visiting with family members. She sipped some of the brandy that was produced here, and she fell in love with this place. And so then she wrote her novel. It became a wildly successful bestseller, and lots of people started coming here, and not only to see Rancho Camulos, but all of Southern California. So she was an early boost to the economy here. And people were actually taking railroad trains to get to Rancho Camulos in hopes of meeting Ramona, who was actually a fictional character.
Sure.
But they were so caught up in the story, and her idea was, to show how poorly the Indians were being treated, but people read it as a romance novel. And Ramona was the heroine. She was half Native American, half white, and she fell in love with a Native American who worked on the property. And so people really loved the romance aspect of the novel.
Was it a place, obviously the family lived here in the 1850s and on, so then was it turned into a place where you can actually stay and visit?
People would come and visit, and they did have a lot of guests who stayed. They were very hospitable. They were known for their hospitality. They had lots of fiestas out here right where we're standing.
Wow.
And so it was a really active place. On any given day, they could have as many as 200 people or more here.
Wow.
Workers, guests, family members. But in terms of paid lodging, no. But they probably should have charged because they had a steady stream of people coming through.
How many acres are we talking about?
We are part of an 1,800-acre ranch that still exists. Originally, this was a 48,000-acre rancho.
Susan, how old is this?
This was built in 1869 at the insistence of Senora del Valle, who worshipped in downtown Los Angeles at the cathedral down there. And she was a very religious woman, and she wanted a place to worship. So she's the one who asked that this be built. And so it was built in the late 1860s.
Wow, this is very small.
Yes. So not a lot of people would have been worshiping in here, and that's one reason the porch was added that we were standing on, and she wanted her workers to be able to participate. So there were benches for them, and they could actually worship with them. And of course the priest would be in here, and perhaps Senora was in here, maybe she was a little closer.
Sure.
Since it was her chapel.
What is this picture that we have right here in the middle?
This picture dates back to the late 1800s, so we have an idea of what it looked like at that time. And you'll notice there was wallpaper on the wall, which would have been in keeping with the Victorian era. You know, they used a lot of wallpaper.
Yeah.
The chapel was heavily damaged in the 1994 earthquake, so there had to be quite a bit of restoration in here.
What is this area we're walking into right now?
You are in the main entrance to the house, the foyer, and it was part of the original house that was built here. And then the house grew as their family grew.
I noticed from the outside it looked long, and then there was well, obviously there's a stairwell right there.
Story.
Okay. Second story.
It's a hacienda-style house, so it's like a U-shaped house. So people who've visited Mexico or perhaps from there, have grandparents there, they'll recall these style of houses. And it's one of the few left in Southern California.
What's with this? I noticed there's like a centerpiece picture in the places we keep looking at.
Right, lots of pictures. This one was actually shot late 1800s, and it was shot on the green steps right outside where we're standing. Mm-hmm. So it's family and friends, and we've identified many of the people in the picture.
Wow. And what's with this?
Oh, this is one of my favorite pieces. This was actually built for Mary Rubel, the second owner of the property.
Okay.
She came in 1924. It was built by the same blacksmith that also worked for the Del Valle family. He stayed on once the Rubels moved in. Oh, yeah. And Mary Rubel was a big fan of roses. That's why we have so many beautiful roses around the property today. Mm-hmm. And he decided to make her this chandelier piece. They had electricity in the house at the time. But it was so big, he couldn't get it through the front door. So he had to take it apart, resolder it together, hung it up, and we have learned from her daughters that she really didn't like it very much.
Oh. All right, and then look at this room right here. This is huge.
Yeah, another big room. Originally, this room was cut in half, and we believe part of it was the Signora's bedroom. When the Rubel family moved in, they wanted a living room because that was popular in the 20s to have a spacious living room to entertain people in. So some of the original furniture is in here, like the settee over there, and Mrs. Rubel is actually sitting on that same piece of furniture for her portrait. And you see Mr. Rubel on the other side. Those were painted, I believe, in 1939. And so they had quite a few painters and photographers coming out. That's Mr. Rubel's writing desk, and we have a collection of their family photos over there.
About how much square footage are we talking about
11,000 square feet. So it's huge, yeah.
We're in the room that put this place on the map for the rest of the world, right?
You are exactly right. Back in the day, this was kind of like the Disneyland of its time. People came here to see Ramona. And the family really took advantage of that. Originally, they thought we can put this to good use. They named their fruit crate or their fruit business the Ramona brand, and you'll find fruit crate labels. And so they even designated this as Ramona's bedroom, even though Ramona was not a real person.
That's great.
But they got tired of it after a while because people were taking advantage of their hospitality. They were always serving these people meals.
So when visitors come out, they could actually see the 17-minute film, which made this place popular.
That's right. Yeah, filmed in 1910, almost completely on the grounds here, starring Mary Pickford. D.W. Griffith, big name in the film industry at that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any of the original novels or books lying around?
We have quite a collection, and people keep sending us the old books. Yeah.
This place only exists here in our California.